We're very honoured to have Susan Ryan speaking. Susan, of course, was the Education Minister in the Hawke government. So I like to think of her as the kind of Peter Garrett of her day.
Citizens of Australia. Sometime to be citizens of the Australian Republic. Well, if I were to sing, which settle down I won't, it'd be more like Faith of Our Fathers or Danny Boy than Our Beds Are Burning, but I won't. We've heard from Tom about 1991. I want to take you to 1993. Now in 1993, it looked like the window of opportunity for us had been flung open. Who did the flinging? P.J. Keating. Lifelong Republicans, and all of us in this room, felt a huge surge of excitement. After the wonderful foundation of the ARM, about we just heard, an impact had occurred. At last, we had a Prime Minister who was willing to put an Australian Republic at the top of his agenda. Paul Keating, having won the unwinnable 1993 election, was ready to roll. Rock and roll, as he dearly loved to do. He wasted no time and took no account of Conservative rumblings. I don't believe he consulted any focus groups. Certainly did not seek permission from them. But even if he had at that time, it would have been the right time. To get the work done, he appointed his Republican Advisory Committee. Who were they? Well, we were chaired by Malcolm Turnbull. We had Nick Greiner, John Hurst, who I think is with us tonight, Mary Kostakidis, Lowiger O'Donoghue, Glyn Davis, Namoy Dougal, George Winton, who sadly has died, but I believe Rosalind is with us tonight, and myself. We were, I think you'd agree, a pretty good group of capable Australians from diverse backgrounds. But even our appointment was attacked. One high-profile, furious critic alleged that the committee included too many unhappy migrants and too many mad Fenians. Anyway, regardless of the criticism, we went on and we did the task. We were to examine and present a range of options on how we might move to a republic, always with one restriction. We were to present a minimalist account of options, which meant that we were to present options where we would remove the monarch entirely, dead, alive, male, female, whatever, remove the monarch entirely but retain all other features of our parliamentary democracy. Good, we thought there are plenty of ways of doing that. We consulted our fellow citizens all around Australia, cities, regional towns, outback areas. I remember a particularly challenging meeting with our Indigenous fellow citizens in Alice Springs, where I understood that part of getting to a republic would be getting to a reconciliation with the First Peoples, and it just strengthened our resolve even more. We looked overseas at other republics around the world: Austria, Germany, Ireland, India, Mauritius, Trinidad and Tobago. Plenty of examples, plenty of models. There was a lot of support out in the public for our objective, but there were many difficulties about how to get there, even for Republicans, or as it turned out, especially for Republicans. And we learned, if we hadn't known, that civil society's collective ignorance of our Constitution was nothing short of scandalous. The monarchists, of course, they raised extremely important and apparently insuperable barriers. For example, we could not be a republic because what will we do about the RSPCA? Indeed, what will we do about Royal Randwick Racecourse? And of course, we couldn't have Royal Prince Alfred Hospital anymore. Overwhelming, really, those sorts of arguments. And of course, we could not be a republic, we were told, in many venues because our Constitution guarantees that Australia is a Christian nation. Yes, Ken? Don't you? That's what they said. and that everyone knew that all Republicans were atheists, so we just couldn't have it. These were quite startling ideas, and some of us would have found them quite novel, but they were held very passionately, and I believe, judging from what our guest speaker said tonight, they are still held. Well, the committee, as you can imagine, had a few robust discussions amongst ourselves. But, as our chairman was the mighty Malcolm, you can also imagine that they were very quickly resolved. I learned that there was a very easy way to get resolution of an issue on the committee chaired by Malcolm, and that is, agree with Malcolm. Would someone tell those Liberals that's what you do? Anyway, we did our job. We did it in the time allotted to us, a few months. We presented, I think, a very solid report in 3 volumes, including a lengthy volume of appendices. We hoped then, in late 1993, that our report would inform and assist the debate that was to follow and provide a building block for the successful referendum that would come soon after. Well, that was 1993. By the time we got to 1999, the year of disaster, we know what happened. And by the time, and of course the plan was to have it all done and dusted so that when we got to the centenary of Federation, referred to by Tom, in 2001, we would be declaring the Republic. That was the timetable. We're a bit late. So when we got to 2001, all we could do was look in desperate admiration at our founding fathers, as they were, founding fathers, who, as Tom said, went on for decades to get the brawling colonies into a federation. Surely if they could do that, we could do the next step. Well, we can do the next step. Here we are in 2011, and we're still going. And when we have the political will on both sides to get our show back on the road again, our 3 volumes, plus appendices, may still be useful.